world. Going to be joined now by Emily Ball. She's been beamed around the world as well for the press review, and she's starting off with coverage in those protests in Paris following Marine Le Pen's trial. How have the French papers reacted to that, Emily?
Yes, well, this story is on most of the French front pages today. Let's have a look at Libération. They call it la RN à la peine, a triple play on words there. The national rally struggles, but also peine referring to the sentence and bearing a little bit of a resemblance to Marine's last name. They say the rally was a flop after it saw a relatively small turnout. Now, Humanité, meanwhile, calls it a demonstration of a farce. Le Pen had initially called it a demonstration of force, but this article says it did not live up to expectations. The Daily La Croix, meanwhile, says that Le Pen is trying to reconquer support by circulating the idea of an unfair, politically motivated trial, a risky strategy according to the paper, which could lead to a bad start for her banned presidential campaign. Now, European papers are also following up on this story. In Germany, the Frankfurter Allgemeine, headlining with a greeting from Europe's right-wing populists. It draws parallels between Le Pen and Trump's reactions to compromising legal decisions. The article quotes Le Pen, who said the trial was a witch hunt. Now, the British paper The Times is also quoting Le Pen in this headline, I am the Martin Luther King of France. She compared her fight to that of Martin Luther King, a comment which, unsurprisingly, Stuart, has been widely condemned in the French papers.
Yeah, not surprisingly. Now, the world is starting this week, of course, as we said, right at the top amid the whirlwind of Donald Trump's tariffs, many preparing retaliatory responses. So what have the papers been saying about this?
Yeah, well, it's pretty much all anyone is talking about. But The Guardian brings us the key questions. What happens next, and how will the world respond? Now, PBS gives us a little bit of a hint at how the world might be responding. It says that Trump advisors have said that more than 50 countries have reached out for negotiations on the tariffs. In the French paper L'Opinion, they say that that's a dilemma that now faces Europe: retaliate or negotiate. It says the European Union is still figuring out how to respond. But Politico also giving some hints of how they might. It says that France officials are considering taxing American digital services. Tech is considered to be a possible battlefield for Europe. The EU runs a €109 billion deficit in services, and Europe's tech market, currently dominated by American companies, could be where they land their punches. Asia, meanwhile, is also trying to come up with an answer. Sorry, here we go. The Straits Times says that Malaysia wants a coordinated regional response. Southeast Asia is one of the hardest hit regions in the world, with some countries expecting tariffs of up to 49%. Now, in Africa, Zimbabwe is coming up with an alternative strategy. Days after the country was hit with 18% tariffs, Zimbabwe announced that it will be suspending all of their tariffs on imported goods from the US. The move intends to be a gesture of goodwill towards Donald Trump and an attempt to build a positive relationship with his administration.
Now, Emily's found some interesting coverage in the papers of the upcoming elections in Australia, something we've not talked about much here on France 24. What have you got for us?
Yes, well, we've heard of foreign interference when it comes to elections, but we haven't yet heard of climate interference. This story in The Times asked, did a cyclone just save Anthony Albanese's re-election? The article debates how it might have had an impact on the course of the Australian elections. Originally planned for late March, the vote was delayed due to the violent storm to early May. And although the cyclone was not as destructive as planned, the article said it did wreck a, quotes, Liberal leader Peter Dutton's chances of a historic election victory. Now, Dutton had enjoyed a lead in the polls up to that point, but it evaporated after he was criticised for holding a fundraising dinner during the emergency. Meanwhile, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has extended his lead in the polls. His leadership showmanship during Cyclone Alfred maybe have earned him a second term. But this isn't the only climate-related headline here. The Guardian has this opinion piece. It criticises the absence of climate change and mass extinction in public debate. It says that although the climate crisis is one of the main concerns of Australians, it's largely ignored by politicians. It adds that, crucially, Australia's famed biodiversity is at risk. And the article says, Stuart, that 2,200 species are now at risk of disappearing if nothing is done to protect them.
Yeah, important subject there as well. Got some more animal news for you now. We had ducks earlier on. This time it's not ducks, it's about tortoises, this, isn't it? It's from a zoo in the US.
Yes, some very wholesome news from the Associated Press here. 2 Galapagos tortoises have become parents for the first time at almost 100 years old. The pair from the Philadelphia Zoo have just had 4 of their eggs hatch, the first in 150 years. The article says it's a great sign for the endangered species. It's also, Stuart, hoping a naming competition for the 3 girl baby tortoises. And my pitch is a Sex and the City inspired vote. I vote for the names Carrie, Charlotte, Miranda and Samantha.
Okay, you're a Sex and the City fan, are you? I'm trying to think of what were Charlie's Angels called? That's more my era. I mean, maybe Charlie's Angels. They could go after that. Thanks very
Sounds
much. Emily Boyle with the papers. Huey, Louie and Dewey wouldn't do it, would it? Wrong sex. Emily Boyle with the papers for us there. Lots more.